Happy New Year, everyone. 2015 ended with books and 2016 began with books. So here we go. These are some of the most recent acquisitions from the past couple of weeks. And let's begin with 3 trades. This is the Daredevil, Man Without Fear, collecting Lady Bullseye, the initial Lady Bullseye storyline. Return of the King, which continues, and In the Devil's Hand. Now, these first 2 were done by Brubaker, and the artist is Lark. His first name I should remember, because I've been admiring his work quite a bit in recent days. Michael Lark. And of course, you all know Mr. Brubaker, Ed Brubaker. The Comics Book Estate did a video discussing this storyline. Now, I had read the Bendis Malieve run in trade years ago. I enjoyed them very much. And also with that buy that I had the initial Kevin Smith run, and I think is it Mac who did the artwork in the second arc. And they were wonderful stories, which I hadn't really thought about until the Comic Book Estate did this. Now, I had not read the Brubaker run, nor was I acquainted with Lark's artwork. So I ordered these, and I got them cheap and read them. And at least these 2, I have not read the Diggle run. I think he's the one who took over after Brubaker. And they are very good. Now, when this happened, I just wanted to look at the singles for the other issues. And so I ended up just looking for these books. So this is Daredevil, number 111. This is a variant cover of the first appearance of Lady Bullseye, I think David Aja. I ordered this one. During the Christmas break, one of the shops had a dollar bin sale, and that's where I got most of these. This is the 101. I think this goes in order. 102. Sorry about the glare. 3. 4. I have a lot of books. I want to go kind of fast. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 110. 111. Again, the first appearance of Lady Bullseye. And the storyline that the Comics Book discussed in this video. 112. 13. 14. 15. I think that's 15. Yes. 16. 117. 18. 19. And I think at this point the comics switched back to the initial numbering, and the issue 500. I think it's an Alex Ross cover. So now that I've read all these, and they're very, very good. And it made me go back to reread Daredevil with issue number 1. It started with Kevin Smith run. And so by chance, I found these on the internet rather cheap. Although I already have the trade, I just got issues number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, I'm not a fan of Quesada's artwork. It's too cartoonish for me. And the Kevin Smith story is good. We know what happens to poor Karen Page. Now, the subsequent writers, Bendis and Brubaker, and the artists Malieve and Arc, for them, their artwork is I'm just more aligned towards that sort of realism, and their artwork is supreme. Now, Daredevil has made me think about the women in Matt Murdock's life. They, with the exception of the Black Widow, these women, just by being associated with Matt Murdock, their lives are, they have really bad lives. Now, I'm going to go back and reread, like I said, the storyline, and with a particular interest on the women in Matt's life. But I don't know. It's just one of the ironies that the Black Widow, his confidant, his lover, friend, is the only one who is alive, or at least emotionally stable. Now, since I enjoyed Lark's artwork, I ended up getting Lazarus. I found these at one of the used bookstores. Issues, the first 12 issues were $5, and I've read the series because I'm just so enthralled by Lark's artwork. And this is a very good series. I was really impressed by it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now the others I found at comic book stores, and I got them rather cheap. But the first 12 I got for $5 in a bundle, and I was wonderfully surprised how good the stories were. And again, Lark's artwork especially. Now the comic book shop also had a 50-cent sale, and this is what I got. Alien Legion number 1, 2, and 3. The reprint of Manhunter by Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson. I think these appeared in Detective Comics. This is Walt Simonson, early 70s. Very good. And this is a very unsentimental book. I think it goes in, it's contrary to many comics of that time. The hero is rather much of an early anti-hero in some ways. It's a really wonderful story. Oh, you guys remember this? One of the early animated films from the 80s, Rock and Roll. I just didn't know Bill Mantlo had written it, from the Micronauts fame. There's music from Debbie Harry, Lou Reed, Iggy Pop. Now, these were not in the 50-cent bin, these books that I ordered. Since I've been reading the Hellblazer series, and been impressed by Jamie Delano, I found World Without End, the miniseries he did, with John Higgins, issue number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Don't know what this series is about, except that it's, well, science fiction. But give you an idea of some of the artwork in the book by Mr. Higgins. Wonderfully Strange. Oh yes, and these were also in the 50-cent bin. I guess I didn't put these in order. Camelot 3000. Mr. Barr and Mr. Boland. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful cover, Mr. Boland. He draws women well. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. A very good series from the 80s. Again, with wonderful artwork by Mr. Boland. And one thing I had been looking for a while, and finally was able to get most of it in its near complete run, is The Question by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cohen. Wonderful series from the late 80s. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'd be rushing here. This is 12, 13, 14, 15. No, I'm sorry, 19. Can't tell what issue this is. Oh, 20. 22. 23. 4. 26. 27. 28. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. And this is something else. This is the annual. Yeah, number 1. Number 2. Green Arrow. This is, okay, so maybe this is annual number 1, I'm sorry. Number 1. And this came with the buy. It's The Question by Veitch and Edwards. It's a miniseries. Number 2, 3, and 5. Okay. And finally, these guys here. These two are giant graphic, called the Graphic Canon, where there's adaptations of great works of literature. It's various artists. It's a huge monster here. But this covers the modern period, from the Heart of Darkness to the Infinite Jest. So James Joyce's Ulysses, Faulkner's The Hill, The Wasteland by Eliot, Lady Chatterley's Lover, The Age of Innocence by Wharton, 3 stories by Jorge Luis Borges, Albert Camus' Stranger, Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, Thomas Pynchon is in here, Sylvia Plath, The Naked Lunch. But some of these are just 2 or 3 page stories. Some are a little longer, as you can see. Once I go through these, I might do a video on it. Hey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And Nausea's in here too. This is one of the Borges stories. Nausea by Sartre, illustrated by Mr. Crumb. J.G. Ballard's Crash. This one is the 19th century. So you have, it begins with Samuel Coleridge's Kubla Khan, Ancient Mariner. You have William Blake, so it has many of the poets. And then the usual 19th century literature from Charles Dickens, Edward Lear, Edgar Allan Poe. The Bronte sisters, Jane and Emily. An idea of this. The back has just biographies on the writers who did the original stories, and then the people who are adapting them. A pleasant surprise was I picked this up, magazine number 3, Afterlife with Archie. A friend of mine recommended this series, and normally I would not have read something like this. But when I did, I was really surprised, because this is a very serious book. There's nothing comedic in this. It's very somber, what happens when there's a zombie outbreak in the world of Archie. The writer treats them in a very realistic manner. So I had to pick this up. Then I found issue number 1. Issue number 5. 7. Another variant cover. And number 8. Now I just need 2, 4, and 6. And one of the things I found curious about this is that the writer understood class. I know there's a butler in the storyline, but the way he discusses social stations, and I found, I think he was right on it. Then I looked him up, and I learned that his name is Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, his parents were diplomats from Nicaragua, so he probably grew up with servants. And certainly living in Nicaragua and in part, and also in the States, he went to Georgetown and Yale, so he's a pretty well-educated kid, well, young man. Certainly in that part of the world, the class issue is very apparent. Here in the States, it's not as obvious. We have a class system here, but it's not as conspicuous as it is south of the border. So I picked up the Sabrina books again. When these came out, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I said it looks rather silly. There's nothing silly about this book. This is Sabrina's life is pathetic. Her father is a warlock, falls in love with a mortal. The witches say, "Fine, you can marry her, but you have to give us your firstborn." When that happens, the mother refuses, and she's made mad. Then the father, his fate is, I think, even worse. What happens to the mother? But the father left Sabrina's mother. Left the woman he was seeing before he got involved with Sabrina's mother was a witch. And there's a scene at the zoo when he tells her that he's leaving her. And the woman commits suicide, the witch commits suicide by going into a lion's den and having the lions tear her apart. And then her soul is sent to hell. But in the story, she comes back and she wants vengeance upon the father and the woman he married, who's in an insane asylum. This is one grim story. This could easily be a non-Archie book. And it's my understanding that this writer wrote the most recent Carrie film. Very impressive story. Liked it very much. Then there's Thung and Lash. Mouth-watering, huh? The writers are French, and I don't know what Mr. Taylor, where he's from, but it's definitely a tribute to Mobius and Milo Minada. It's not as kinky as I thought it would be, which is a little bit disappointing. The dialogue is awkward, but the artwork is very nice. Let's see. It was only 2 issues. No, I'm correct. It was initially a 2-issue series, and then there was a sequel, which of also 2 issues, which is somewhere. So issue number 1 and number 2. Then I also picked up Fantomas. I don't know if I included this in my last video. I think I got this afterwards. Eventually I'll do a video about Fantomas. He's one of my favorite comic book heroes. These were published in Mexico. And this is a compilation of like 6 stories. And Fantomas is one of the very fascinating things about him. His assistants are all women, and they're each named after the zodiac. It's a very sophisticated comic, and it's just unfortunate it has not been translated into English. Wonderful stories. And finally, Doctor Who. I found all of these in a bundle for $10 at one of the used bookstores. As you can see, one stack here, a giant stack of these things. I never paid attention to the novelizations till I saw an interview with Harlan Ellison, who recommended them. I think he was at a Star Trek convention, and I think he was asked, or he just blurted out, that his favorite, was the best science fiction television show ever made, was not Star Trek, but Doctor Who. I'm not sure how well that went over there, but of course, Harlan doesn't care. So anyway, I got this stack here. Stack number 1 and stack number 2 for $10. The novelizations are really good, particularly the ones by Terrence Dicks. Now there's one in here, what did I do with it, that when I read it, it reminded me of the storyline of the second Batman film, The Dark Knight Rises. There's a plot line which is very similar to one of the books here. I had it here. Now, the Nolan brothers, they're British, and I'm making an assumption here, but I think Doctor Who is just part of the culture there, that even if you don't like Doctor Who, you have to have seen an episode or two. Where is that book? It involves the Master. Let's see, no. Let's see, where did I put it? Oh, I apologize. I had it here handy. Oh, I did have it. Now, this one didn't come with a buy. This one I've had. But it's Doctor Who and the Deadly Assassin. And if you come across this by Terrence Dicks, or you've seen the episode, I think Tom Baker with Doctor Who at the time, see if you see any similarities in one of the major plot lines of the Dark Knight Returns, the one with Heath Ledger. So, in any event, these are my books. Oh, I got these yesterday. Also, the books are $5. Doctor Who magazine. Big stack here, but in any event, thanks for watching, and happy reading.